Welcome to CINEMATICON Ex Mortis, the horror movie discussion podcast hosted by Kenny and
Heather.
and
Justin.
That's right, we have a special guest for this episode. It's Justin, my friend. You may have heard him on the Asinine Radio podcast. He's not one of the normal hosts, but he's a frequent guest over there. And for today's episode, we're discussing The Evil Dead from 1981. So this is a film that was written and directed by Sam Raimi. It stars Bruce Campbell and has a musical score by Joseph Loduca. It was filmed on a tiny budget by an inexperienced cast and crew. The film takes place in a cabin in the woods, and the cast and crew actually lived in that cabin while they filmed the movie, where there was no running water or heating. By the end of the shoot, most of the cast had left because they just had other things to do. They had jobs. So in some shots in the film, you can very clearly see that the characters are not being played by the actors. They're being played by somebody else in a cheap wig. Also, by the end of the shoot, they had sort of taken apart a lot of the furniture in the cabin and burnt it in the fireplace just for warmth. So it's one of the great independent films. It's one of the great sort of no-budget success stories because it went on to be a big hit. Obviously, it spawned the Evil Dead franchise, 2 sequels, and then a remake and a TV show. And we're going to cover all of them on this podcast. Not this particular episode, but over the next 3 episodes. But this one's just the first Evil Dead film. I'll start with a plot summary so that we're on the same page. So spoilers ahead. So 5 college kids, Scott and his girlfriend Shelley, Ash Williams and Ash's girlfriend Linda and his sister Cheryl, travel to a cabin in the woods to spend a weekend there. In the cabin's fruit cellar, Ash and Scott discover an ancient Sumerian text, the Naturon de Monto. When they play a tape recording of passages from the book, it resurrects Kandarian demons who begin to assault them. Cheryl, hearing a noise outside the cabin, goes out to investigate and is attacked and raped by the trees. She escapes and makes her way back to the cabin, where she insists that Ash drive her back to town. They discover that the bridge that seems to be their only route back to civilization has been destroyed and return to the cabin. There, Cheryl is possessed by a demon and tells the remaining 4 friends that they will also be possessed one by the evil forces. As the night continues, Ash battles his possessed friends in an attempt to survive until morning. Okay, so that's the end of my opening monologue. So what are our thoughts about The Evil Dead?
It is very good. I liked it very much.
That's a riveting analysis.
As always.
I don't know. I feel like with this movie, it's kind of hard because I tried to transport myself into 1981 because this film was pretty controversial and was in the UK were a video nasty and banned in a bunch of countries and stuff. And so I was what else was coming or what else was out around that time that for reference type of thing, because to me it was definitely not shocking maybe it would have been back then. So, and I also kind of hadn't seen this in forever, so in my mind I was mixing up Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. I was where's that stupid hand thing? That's Evil Dead 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he stay the stupid Klaatu or I probably said it wrong, release demons or something. Yeah.
Oh, you basically said it.
yeah, just in the movie. So I was what happened with that? But I don't know, it was still pretty scary. But I feel what was lost on me was the gory stuff, which I think would have freaked people out back then, was just kind of ridiculous to us. Because it's just, yeah. And obviously in Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, they really play up on that. And on Ash vs. Evil Dead, they really play up on the gore. It's, and Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah, so those films are part of a sort of subgenre that people call splatstick. It's like slapstick, but with gore. And I guess that's one debate around the Evil Dead is it a comedy? Because a lot of people will say, no, actually Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, those are horror comedies, but the original film is just a horror film. But I am actually in the camp, if there is such a camp, of people who think, yes, the first one is a comedy. It's just that there aren't a lot of like constructed jokes, like with a setup and punchline.
Right.
But I think that the gore becomes so extreme that it is funny. And I think it would have been funny even back then. The way some of these scenes like drag on and on. Like my favorite one is Evil Shelley's death scene that just lasts for like 5 minutes. She has this
Right.
death scream of like, or like it just goes on, and we keep cutting back to her, and then cutting back to Ash and Scott as they react, and they're
Right.
just. And it just, at a certain point, it becomes hilarious. It's one of those things where you can just repeat. If you do it long enough, it just gets funny. And then it sort of stops being funny. And then it becomes funny again.
Yeah, I mean, Heather sort of already mentioned Ash's facial expressions during that whole scene where he's like this. He's like, this is fucking crazy. Like, this is ridiculous. And he's just like so astonished that this is continually going on. But again, I don't really know. I try to think of like what were some of the other films.
Well, the last episode we did was The Shining, which came out the previous year.
Okay, I mean, yeah, just think about that, like how different those two films are. I looked up some ones that were kind of similar. Like Halloween came out in '78, not too far. I think Halloween 2 was like about to come out or something like that.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street came out in '84. Friday the 13th, 1980, so it just come out.
Yeah, this was like this was the heyday of the slasher film.
Right, and this is not a slasher.
It's not, but I think it inherits some of the sort of visual language of the slasher film with like the point of view shots that
of the evil
stalk the characters. Yeah.
Like through the window, and then it's nothing. Like they do a lot of those things, but then it's not really like about that though. I don't know, like that thing isn't the main antagonist.
Well, it sort of is, right? It possesses the characters. And so when Ash is fighting his possessed friends, he's sort of really fighting whatever the demonic force is that's outside in the woods.
And why doesn't it possess him? You know, I was like,
yeah, I was thinking about that this time, like, you know, because there's some horror movies that have clearly defined rules. Like we watched It Follows, and that's a story about a monster that has these very clear rules. You know, you can only see it if you're under the curse, it walks in a straight line towards you, etc. And then there are some horror films where they don't really have rules. Like a lot of ghost movies, it's just like anything can happen. The ghost can make anything happen. There's no clear boundaries for like where it can and can't go, or you know what its powers are. And I think Evil Dead is interesting because it's kind of in the middle. Like we get some rules, right? Like Deadites have to be dismembered in order to be killed. And otherwise they'll come back to life. And then at the end, they didn't establish earlier, but we do discover that destroying the book can destroy the other monsters. So there are some rules, but then there's also a sense in which just kind of anything can happen.
It's like chaos to me. Like the evil, that's what I call the spirit thing. Like the evil, I don't know what else to call that. It can go through windows.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, you're right. Other times it's like, oh.
Right, yeah. Sometimes it seems like it can't go into the house, right? Like it's when they close the door, it stops pursuing them. So it seems like the house is some kind of charmed space that it can't enter. But then at another point in the film, it just crashes right through the window and goes in. So.
Yeah, like at one of the end sequences where is it Cheryl? That's the sister.
Yeah.
But like. He like puts the little oven thing in front of the door to stop her from coming in, and it's the door there's two windows that are like already broken next to it. It's like, but he thinks this is gonna stop it, and it does.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, and then in terms of no rules, like when he goes into the cellar and like all the blood starts coming everywhere, like what the fuck is that? Where's that blood coming from and stuff?
Yeah, well, that's another like horror movie trope at this point. We also talked about the Amityville Horror, and that's a film where the walls bleed. And in The Shining, obviously, you have the elevator that opens and the blood comes out. So that's a sort of a well-worn trope at this point. It's
Yeah,
like
but
the haunted house that
in
bleeds.
some of those, it's like The Shining. It's not like real, right?
I mean, what is real in The Shining?
But I mean, like, you know, like at the end of that scene in Evil Dead, there's like puddles of blood, and the
Yeah.
types are still dripping blood. Like this, it actually
It's not
happened.
like a vision. It's like
Right.
it's like
Mm.
physical blood.
Yeah.
Right. That's true, and there is like a physicality to everything in this film, even as it gets really out there, like Ash seeing his reflection in the mirror and then reaching in and it's just water. It's like he's put his hand into a pond. There's still this physicality to everything that happens, which I think is, it's a big part of the charm of the film that it would be hard to recreate nowadays because they do everything with CGI. It's just that everything in the film, they had to somehow make it happen on this tiny budget. So even though it looks bad a lot of the time, there's a charm to it, that when they're hitting Cheryl with the butt of the axe, it's just like this rubber puppet that they're clearly.
Eventually, he's just like, what the fuck was that? Like, that's a doll.
Yeah.
The final hit. I mean, one thing about the budget, I thought the budget would be a lot less than it was. I mean, it's like something like 300,000, right?
I thought it was on Wikipedia. It says 90,000.
Well, the only reason I said it's 300,000 is because I thought there was a famous Sam Raimi quote where he's like, I remember Evil Dead and I did Evil Dead whatever, and my budget was 300,000, and then I did Spider-Man and my budget was 300 million. And it was kind of like he was playing off of that. Maybe
90,000 is like the shooting budget, and then they needed more money for like editing. Yeah, who knows? But either way, that's like a tiny amount of money to make a movie, especially with this many special effects and stuff.
All right. I mean, I don't know. My gold standard for like low budget that did super well is like Paranormal Activity, right?
Sure. I mean, I think
like 40,000 and they made like 150 million.
It was like 14,000. Yeah. So yeah, and Blair Witch Project is similar, but I think those are kind of in a category on their own, the found footage films, because you don't need so many of the things that you would normally need. Like you don't really need a crew almost, right? Like the actors are holding the cameras. You have these crappy little cameras.
I mean, they have a lot of the same thing. They did all the camera work pretty much.
A lot of the crew, the cast members were doing operating the cameras. Yeah. They didn't have a tiny little crew, but
more special effects, you're right, and makeup and FX and stuff.
Lighting, sound, yeah.
Yeah.
I really love that they incorporated stop motion animation in it.
Yeah, the end sequence.
I love it.
It's like it reminds me of Beetlejuice, the ending, where they're sticking their tongues out of their mouth.
Yeah. The arms randomly are coming out of the bodies.
That was really cool.
Like, let's just do all of it. Let's do everything we can think of. We'll do it all right now.
Well, that's like the philosophy of the whole film, right? It's a kitchen sink movie. It's like they went out into the woods and they had so many imaginative ideas and they just threw everything in almost at random into the movie and didn't hold anything back.
And that's definitely part of the comedy. It's just like, that now. Okay. And that just keeps like snowballing and getting more disgusting and more out there.
Yeah.
And it's really funny and it works.
Well, it was interesting. I noticed like a shift in the camera work towards the latter half of the film. Like he's like, I'm gonna start doing experimental camera shit. Like let's start from upside down and then like turn it over. And there's a scene where you can tell he has the camera like sideways.
Oh yeah.
It kind of makes it look like it's, I don't know.
Those are called Dutch angles, where the camera is tilted. And they're used all throughout the film, but at the end it's like almost nothing but Dutch angles. There's also the really cool shot that's completely upside down, like we're looking down. We start looking at Bruce Campbell and he's totally upside down, and then we sort of pan over his head and then kind of come around to. That's actually Sam Raimi strapped to the ceiling of the cabin doing like a reverse sit-up with the camera. They had to like figure out all these weird technological things I say technological, I mean they're like strapping the camera to a wooden board and stuff, but like just figuring out engineering solutions for like the crazy things that Sam could imagine Another one is the Sam Ramo cam, which is where they stuck the camera to a board and then would ram it through things, so it would look like the evil force was just going right through the window or right through the door or whatever.
And all the scenes where the evil is running outside and stuff, that's just like them running with the camera, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's an early shot where the camera is like knocking over trees and stuff. So I think they must have had it on the front of like a car or, you know, some kind of vehicle that's able to push those trees over. I mean, they're like fake trees that have been put there, but still, you wouldn't be able to do that with your hand.
But pretty cool. I mean, you didn't mention their age. How old are they? They're like 20, right? Or 21?
I think so. I think they're probably in college themselves.
Yeah. So pretty interesting, impressive.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of these people went on to do greater things. Sam Raimi is famous for the Spider-Man films. He's made a lot of stuff. I'm a big fan of his work in general. I love the Spider-Mans, especially Spider-Man 3, which everyone thinks is the worst one, but I think is the best. Fight me.
You've mentioned that like 45 times on this podcast.
Oh, yeah? I don't think I've ever mentioned that.
Come up so much.
And then Bruce Campbell, you know, he's become like a sort of star. He was like in a ton of B movies for a long time, but then now he's sort of like, I feel like he's made it at this point. He's fully like, I wouldn't say he's an A-list actor like Tom Hanks or anything, but he's, you know, he was in Burn Notice. He was in, you know, tons of stuff.
He has his own show. Well, they canceled it now, but yeah.
The Ash vs. Evil Dead. Yeah.
Well, you know, Bruce Campbell and Rob Tappert and Sam Raimi all went to high school together and were already making like their own student films and stuff. And they'd already been working together for like quite a while when they did this. They all like already knew each other super well, had done other stuff. So.
Yeah, and I think you can see the sort of dynamic of their friendship inform what's happening in the film, because they like to play pranks on each other, kind of like how Scott plays pranks on Ash in the film. And they also just kind of like to torment each other. They had this sort of like sadistic sense of humor. And the film essentially becomes, at a certain point, let's abuse Bruce Campbell in every possible way. So they're just like throwing, like splattering random stuff into his face, you know, and that's the climax of the film, is when the Deadites are dying around him. We just get shot after shot of his face as somebody off screen, probably Sam himself, is throwing, you know, whatever in his friend's face. Yeah. And that's going to carry through the whole rest of the trilogy too, as they just find various ways to abuse Bruce. So this is a movie about evil, presumably. So how does the film construct evil? Like, what is it that we're supposed to be afraid of in The Evil Dead?
I don't know, you know, I know, like, before I came, I tried to, like, do some research.
Is this a metaphorical thing?
Yeah, like, I tried to look at what were some of their themes, what were some of the bigger things, and it's pretty hard to, like, eke out any of those, other than the ones I make up myself. Because it seems, like we said, they just kind of threw this shit together, and they're just kind of having fun and trying to scare people.
Yeah.
I don't know what are the big themes that they're trying.
Well, like, what do they think is scary then? I mean, just from them trying to scare the audience, like, what are they reaching for? I think one thing that's interesting to me is, like, plants and nature.
Right.
Like, when the tape is read, it says that these demons, the Kandarian demons that are summoned, are the evil forces that live in the forests. So.
Or can be, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then the cabin is sort of surrounded by the forest, which is the space of evil, it seems like. And then obviously, like, the first horrific thing that happens is the infamous tree rape scene.
Right.
And well, I mean, even before that, right? Like, once the tape is being read, like, the first supernatural thing that happens is the tree crashes through the window and interrupts the tape.
It always originates from the forest, it seems. It's like the evil is out there somewhere, and it flies in from there always, knocking shit down. Or even before any of it, right? When they're driving in, it's like hovering over the lake, right, or whatever. That's like bubbling and shit, which is stupid. But yeah, it like originates out there. It's out there.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, and then there's that famous shot where they're going into the cabin for the first time. We've got the bench. What do you call that when you got like a bench that's suspended? Porch swing. There you go. The porch swing is kind of like hitting the cabin over and over. It's almost like a battering ram. It just gives you that sense that there's a force out in the forest that wants in. So yeah, so the forest being something that's scary and evil, and like plants, it's something I was thinking about. Also, like when they get to the bridge, right? The bridge is destroyed, but the way that it's destroyed is kind of neat. I love the end of the bridge is sort of curled up like fingers or like tendrils. That kind of has this like organic look to it. It wasn't just destroyed in an ordinary way.
I mean, like, I think the whole forest thing is like very much done in horror films, and it's kind of interesting. You know, like they use it in a lot of different ways. Or, for example, it'll be like a branch is tapping a window or something, and for example, even like from Snow White, like I know this takes it back a bit, but she goes through the forest and it's like out to get her, like it comes alive.
What about Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, but the thing is, in like a different context, it's just a fucking forest, right? Like Blair Witch, it becomes scary because you're kind of lost in it, you're kind of stuck in it, but it's just a forest. But in this case, it's like it's out to get you, like for real, like it's fighting back. Like today, I would have made some kind of like, oh, it's like nature is reasserting its dominance and it is attempting to repel human incursions or something. But I don't really think they had that shit in 1981. Like, was the EPA just out or something? Like,
yeah,
that was like Nixon.
That was in the 70s, yeah.
I mean, but I don't think that they're trying to do that.
Yeah.
Like, they're just trying to say it's out there and it controls this space and you can't leave, basically. I don't know if it's like nature is trying to fight back. Because it also just takes control of people too. So it's like.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is like an environmentalist film or anything. I definitely, like there's nothing to clue you into that in the dialogue or the action really. But I do think it sort of plays on a fear that we have of nature and the idea that like there might be some spirit or life force or intelligence in nature that we're just not perceiving. I don't know. I have a friend who just wrote a dissertation about sentient plants, and she talks a little bit about Evil Dead. She mentions Evil Dead in it. So I had that in my brain.
I mean, I know that the rape scene is seen as like probably the most controversial thing about the film.
Definitely.
And that Raimi himself is like, in interviews now, he says he regrets putting it in the film and that, he didn't mean to offend people with this film and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know, what do you guys think about it looking back 40 years, almost 35 years later, whatever, however long it's been? Do you think it was super bad?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. And you think the same? Yeah?
I just don't think about it the way I think about it.
Yeah, definitely. People are going to have very different perspectives on something like that, obviously, based on their own life and gender. It's definitely shocking. I mean, it's the first real like horror sequence that happens in the film, like I said, and it's pretty extreme. I don't know. I think if there's one thing I could say to maybe defend it, it's that Cheryl comes off as like, I mean, up to that point, she's kind of an idiot. Like, why is she walking around in the woods outside? Like, that's a moment where like everybody in the audience is like, what the hell are you doing? Why walk out into the foggy night? If you think there's something scary out there, you would stay inside. But then once she gets attacked, she sort of becomes a very like proactive character. She fights off the thing, and then she goes back and tells her friends, and they don't listen to her, but she just doesn't care. Like, she's just pushes through their objections. She doesn't let them, shut down her experience. Like they're telling her, no, that couldn't have happened, and she sort of like insists and makes Ash take her into the car and leave. So I don't know. I think if there's anything uh, on the progressive side about that sequence in the film, that would be it.
I mean, like, to me, if it was their goal to make it like, for example, she gets she's like the first one to get attacked in a sense. Like, remember, she's trying to she writes the book thing, but
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't mention it, right? She doesn't mention that, and she mentions that the trees attacked her. She doesn't mention that she gets raped.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that's not very progressive either. And I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that the Raimi is trying to make like a thing that women who do many women are assaulted, molested, raped, and they don't say anything. But they didn't like try to make any of those
Yeah.
sort of messages through it. It's just like I'm just not going to mention it. And then she's also the only one that never gets killed exactly,
Hmm.
other than Ash. She's possessed the whole time, but she never gets killed until
Yeah.
the very end.
She's almost like the spokesman for, well, I mean, she is like, she when she first gets possessed, they're like speaking through her and saying we're going to get all of you, but then throughout the rest, I think, is she the only one that, no, she's not the only one who speaks, but um Linda just kind of like has these sing song little things that she does, yeah, like lullabies that she sings, whereas she's like, the voice of the entity.
But that's the other thing I thought was weird is that, like, I didn't really understand. She's the most afraid, but she's like from the beginning, right? She wants to like get the fuck out of there, but she's also the one that is the earliest to succumb to the evil.
Hmm.
But the other ones,
Maybe it's like with The Shining, where like she's the most sensitive to the.
okay, I was kind of thinking that too because the guy never gets possessed. Neither of the guys ever get possessed.
No, Scott does in the end. Well, I guess he's already dead.
He's
But
yeah, but all the women get possessed.
mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like to me, it's. I mean, going back to the rape scene, it's almost like I don't know. Again, like I don't really think these guys are like trying to make larger points. They're just like, let's shock people.
Yeah, I think they probably were not thinking deeply about all this stuff, right? But the text can still have a message, right?
Yeah.
And it does, whether you want it to or not. So I'm just trying to think about what that would be in this case.
Well, I mean, I was reading about people's sort of how they felt about those scenes, and some people were like, "Well, this is like a tale where women shouldn't go like out there on their own, and that this is like what could happen to you." Or
She's like getting punished.
And then also that no one will believe you if it does happen to you, type of thing. Again, I don't think the movie's trying to make that message at all, but that's like something someone else got out of it.
Yeah.
You know, like in the 80s or something, like it's a woman's fault. And I know there's people that still think that today. Very fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Blaming victims and this and that.
I mean, I think it's part of a general strategy that the film pursues for generating horror, which is like things involving your bodily boundaries, like the things that you would most not want to happen to your body are going to happen, So there's that. There's like the eye gouging sequence. There's the stabbing of the pencil into the Achilles tendon. Like there's like certain things that when you see it, you just go like you're like there's a visceral reaction because you're imagining like, oh, that what if that happened to me, kind of thing. So I don't know. I think it's definitely like they're trying to zero in on the things that are most uncomfortable about our physical bodies and what could happen to them.
I feel like it's just like, let's do the most extreme shit we can possibly think of. And this is like the most horrible thing we can think of. So, I mean, I understand like what they were going for. It's still very cringy, but I'm not gonna hold it against them.
The new one too that didn't include it exactly. It was like different.
Yeah, in a way, the whole series is like a series of revisions of the original film, the original concept, like the sequel as well, Evil Dead 2. We're going to talk about that for our next episode. But it starts off like the first third of the film is essentially a remake. And that film also remakes the tree attack scene, but it's not a rape in the sequel. So I feel like they keep going back and trying to like almost rewrite that sequence.
Yeah, one of the reasons why Evil Dead 2 is better.
Well, we'll have to talk about that once we
Oh,
get.
Sorry, I said something again.
No, that's fine. But when we get to our third episode, when we're like looking back, maybe we'll do like a ranking of the whole series, for each of us, like what's our favorite, least favorite. Another thing I was thinking about as far as like how is the movie thinking about the evil force that we're supposed to be afraid of is like in terms of the comedy that we've talked about, because the demons are just having a grand old time. Like they are laughing their asses off for the whole film. And so that makes me think that, I don't know, there's something evil about comedy, and it's particularly about the kind of comedy that we in fact are watching as we watch Evil Dead, the kind of slapstick comedy where you're laughing because people are falling on their ass, or like you're laughing at bad things happening to other people. Like this is what the demons do for fun. Like they torture these people and they laugh at them. When the record player comes on in the cellar, it puts on this like it's like a classic comedy soundtrack. So I wonder, like, is the film kind of saying that? Is it trying to almost perversely recruit us to be like the demons as we also laugh and enjoy this film? The sort of the demons' repeated catchphrase is "join us." Are we being asked to join them and sort of become demonic as we enjoy these films?
It's like a cabin in the woods type thing.
Yeah, so the movie Cabin in the Woods is also kind of about how we enjoy horror films. And I guess I was picking up on that this time watching the film, was like these weird like metafictional moments where we become aware of the camera, like when blood covers the camera, blood sprays and it actually like runs down the camera lens, or when Ash is burying Linda, or is it? I think it's Linda, yeah. And the dirt covers the camera lens. That's an amazing shot, by the way. And then near the end of the film, when Ash is down in the cellar, he walks in front of a projector that turns itself on, and then he's sort of like blinded by the projector going in his face, and then blood drips onto the lens of the projector, and so it's like covering the screen. So those are all like moments where I think the film kind of reminds us that we're watching a movie. And I don't know, I think in the commentary track they say something about the projector in particular, that something horror movies sometimes advertised about themselves would be that the blood will run down the screen or something like that, and they wanted to literally have the blood run down the screen. So I guess it's part of their like extremity, their philosophy of like going further than anyone has ever gone. But it goes further in a way that reminds us that we're watching this movie.
I mean, I guess one thing that is sort of like interesting about this one is like, did you guys like feel yourself rooting for Ash? Were you like hoping he made it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You
I was
were?
just kind of indifferent. I was just like
dying, I guess.
Well, right. And then at the very end, it's almost like you're like kind of led to think he does die.
Well, I mean, you have to factor in that, like, at this point in my life, I know Ash really well, because I've seen Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. Like, you don't care about him that much in this film, so I can definitely see where that's coming from, but, like, because I know him, like, of course I do.
I feel like he doesn't, he has a very different personality in this film than he does in the later ones. He doesn't have this, he's not the sort of swaggering dumbass that he is in the later films. Whereas here I think he has kind of a transformation in this film though, and he is kind of like an everyman, in that he's moral. He cares about his girlfriend. He actually wants to save the other characters, whereas Scott decides to he says I don't care what happens to her.
Right.
He's the one who actually cares, and he starts off being totally paralyzed by fear and useless, which actually I think is kind of neat. Like the film kind of does a bait and switch because there's no clear protagonist at the beginning of the movie. And the traditional protagonist for this kind of a horror film, I think, would be one of the female characters. You have like the final girl who's supposed to survive at the end of a slasher. Um, and for a while, it seems like Scott is kind of going to be the main character because he sort of takes the lead role in killing the demons. Um, and Ash just like stands by and does nothing and is useless. And I think that's kind of neat because then when Scott kind of does his heel turn where he says, I don't care about her, I'm going to go out in the woods, and we sort of know that that's stupid and he's going to die. Then we're left alone with the character who's been established to be a weakling and this useless guy. And it's like, well, this is our life now. We're stuck with this character who's not powerful. And so that establishes him as, being that much more in danger.
Ash is the final girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not a joke.
But then it's kind of weird because he does attack Linda, but then he can't go through with dismembering her. Like, he can't go through with what has to actually be done. And we all know she's just going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And later on is almost his demise, right? In some way.
Well, yeah, but the little necklace that he gave her that was like the thing that stopped him from chopping her up is he sees the necklace that he gave her. That then is the instrument that he uses to get the Book of Dead as he's being dragged away by Scott, and then he throws the book into the fire. So it's like, I think his love for Linda does in a way save him in the end, that necklace that he got her.
Wow, Kenny.
That thing was kind of like a replacement for like humanity to me. Like,
yeah.
That thing, right?
Yeah, like he takes it out when he's standing by the door, and he like looks at it and like reminds, it's like his moral compass or his like, yeah.
But going back to the comedy, I guess it's like more of what did people at the time, like, how did they view it?
Yeah.
If it was seen as a comedy, why was it banned in so many places? I mean, obviously for how gruesome it was. Like, if it's a comedy, like, I would think you would need to get a different rating, or like they would view it totally differently, as though this isn't as, I don't know.
Well, I think Evil Dead 2 is pretty clearly a comedy, and yet that also, they gave it an X rating, so it had to be released unrated.
So they're mostly looking at the violence and
yeah, I think so. Yeah, and Evil Dead 2 also, like, they changed the color of the blood for the most part. It's like black or green or like some other color other than red because they thought that would help them get a R rating, but it didn't work.
So, I mean, I guess the movie kind of does play out. I mean, at least watching it this time, you kind of get, that joy of watching other, like, people getting tormented. What is that? That German word, right?
Schadenfreude.
Yeah, like, why when we stop on the freeways and look at the car crashes and stuff, like, at least that's not us, type of situation. I don't know how much I feel that in this. I mean, I think they do a lot of dumb things.
There are so many poor choices in this film.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, that happens in every horror movie ever. But this one's just, what? Like, someone's asleep. Like, what?
They're just sleeping through this madness.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, she doesn't have an injury, but
you
it's
can't
not
even
like...
keep track of all the poor choices because they're happening simultaneously all over the place. And you're just like, okay, all of you can die.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I do feel like that. Like, okay, you kind of deserve it. Not because of any overarching whatever, just like, you're fucking dumb. Like, tapping on your window, you hear a voice that says, join us. Like,
and you're like, hello? What?
Running outside and then being stuck in the front door when you came out of the back door.
Exactly.
Like, okay, well, dive in, please. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things like that, and so I don't know. Maybe the whole movie's a cautionary tale.
They covered everything.
I guess I don't know. I don't feel like the characters here. I mean, I guess in a broad sense, you could say like they go out from the city into the country, right? And then there's a long tradition of that in horror. And actually, I think there are a couple sort of allusions in this film that point to that basic idea of like, don't go out into the country because there's scary hillbillies out there that'll kill you. Yeah, so there's like Deliverance, but then when they go down into the cellar, they see a ripped poster of The Hills Have Eyes down there. So I guess the archaeologist who owned that cabin was a fan. Or he really hated it. That's why he ripped it up. I don't know. But so there's a backstory to that poster, which is that
I knew you would know it.
With Jaws, right?
Yeah, that in The Hills Have Eyes, there's like a trailer, not a trailer. There's like an RV, and inside the RV set, you can see a part of the poster for Jaws that's ripped up. And when the Evil Dead guys saw that in the movie, they interpreted that as a message that, you think you've seen something scary when you saw Jaws. This is the real scary movie. Like, this is the real shit. And so they wanted to do that to them and sort of, pass it along to Wes Craven, the filmmaker who made Hills Have Eyes. And so then in A Nightmare on Elm Street, there's a scene where one of the kids is watching a movie on TV and it's The Evil Dead. So that's another reference back. And so then in Evil Dead 2, when he goes into the shed, you can see Freddy Krueger's scissor glove is in the shed. So there's all go back and forth, these little references.
So cute.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. But anyway, so there's that. And then in the cellar also there's like these hanging gourds and stuff.
What the hell is with the gourds?
Yeah, the sort of decor down there is very Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, so there's also
That's
like
almost scarier than body parts.
Yeah.
It's just creepy, and you're like, why?
Yeah, it doesn't really fit. It's just freaking
What
random.
are gourds for?
Yeah, but I definitely think that's like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing, which is another movie. Hills Have Eyes is also a movie where people sort of go out into the desert, into the countryside, and they encounter inbred hillbillies who want to eat them. So here in Evil Dead, they don't encounter hillbillies. That's for the sequel. But there is a sense of like, don't go out of the realm of the comfortable and safe, or else bad things will happen to you.
Yeah, and it's also getting into shit that like basically playing with stuff that you don't know can lead to.
Mm-hmm.
Don't touch other people's shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing, right? Even unknowingly, like, don't mess with this shit, type of thing.
Don't read from a book of weird Latin.
That's covered in skin.
Yeah, so books are dangerous. The film was originally going to be called Book of the Dead, by the way, but I think when they brought it to Rob Tapert, the producer, I think it was him who said, nobody's going to watch a movie about a book.
Yeah, literary references are boring.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
And I think that, what do you guys think about that? Would that have been a better... Evil Dead's so fucking random to me. Like, it doesn't really mean anything.
It sounds like a joke.
Look at the Dead?
No, Evil Dead does. Evil Dead is like, let's put two words together that like sound really cool.
Yeah, two scary words.
Super scary.
Well, did you see some of the other titles that they were talking about?
No, I didn't.
The movie titles. I don't know how many I put down. Oh God, where did I put it? But they were talking about some alternate titles, and one of them was "These Bitches Are Witches."
Oh my God, I remember that. Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
heard that.
I don't know where I read that, but they had like a bunch of different titles, and like "These Bitches Are Witches." Would you guys rather have that?
It sounds like something that I would like. It sounds like something I would use as a MySpace name or something.
Witches get stitches.
I don't know, something, I read Bruce Campbell's book, so I know. It's been a while since I read it, so I remember reading a lot of the alternate titles and a lot of the little, anecdotes about the film. But
yeah, maybe we should say that like this is one of those movies where the behind the scenes stuff is almost as fun to watch as the movie itself. Like watch the commentary track, and these guys are just such funny people, and like there's so many crazy stories of behind the scenes how they made the movies. So it's weird. Like it's like you shouldn't let that stuff behind like how the movie was made. That shouldn't impact how you enjoy the film itself, but it really does in this case. Just knowing like what an underdog story it was, I think adds a lot of charm to
and
it.
how hard they like hustled to get the money to make it. It's tons of great stories. Absolutely.
Yeah, they'd have to stop filming and then go put on business suits and beg for money and then come back. It's pretty insane.
It's awesome. It's really cute how tight they are and like how like what a labor of love this movie was, that they like we're gonna make it, like no matter what we have to do. It's one of those things like if you want something bad enough you can make it happen, and they really pulled out all the stops and worked their asses off and humbled themselves, and were not, they would do anything to make this movie, and they did. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
True that. So this is another thing I don't understand though about the once for example, once the book is on fire, shouldn't the evil be wanting to do everything in its power to like stop that from happening? Including taking possession of Ash if he needs to. That's something I was like, why doesn't he just fucking, like, you're gonna die or whatever. Like, why wouldn't just take possession of him and like move the book?
Well, apparently it doesn't kill the evil force because the last shot of the film is the evil force racing into Ash and possessing him.
The guy mentions on the tape. Anyway, he's like, it's always there. It doesn't really die, but it like lays dormant or whatever. But I mean, I'm just saying they seem to die though once it dies, so it did something. Maybe it's control lessons or whatever. Like it can't really do what it. And obviously, Evil Dead 2 Ash is alive, so it doesn't kill him. We know that now, but so I don't know. It's kind of like a weird thing that I thought about when I was watching it. Like, okay, well maybe that's where like a joke, and they talk about that in the movie too. A joke goes too far. So maybe they were just having too much fun. They didn't realize like, oh, this is gonna lead to my own death too.
Yeah. So yeah, their love of other people's suffering doesn't get them very far in the end. Like it seems to be like that's their only real goal. And it's self-defeating in the end, I guess. We get, and then over the end credits, we get that same like silly music that plays on the record player, only it sort of like winds down and dies. So that maybe is a similar kind of idea. It's like it's on a loop and then it's just gonna wear itself out.
Maybe it has to like hibernate to recharge itself.
Yeah, because it says like, why did you wake me or whatever.
Yeah, wake us from our slumber. So there's something kind of like Lovecraftian about the evil here. And so maybe it's not a coincidence that they then changed the title of the evil book in the sequels to the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, which is where this podcast gets its name, loyal listeners. Which is the name, the Necronomicon is the name of the book that has the secrets of the elder gods in the Lovecraft mythos. It is a difficult film to categorize because it's really not like a possession film either, in the vein of The Exorcist or something like that, because it's not religious. Like these aren't demons from like Judeo-Christian mythology. They're ancient Sumerian demons. There is this Lovecraftian sense that like they're this evil force that permeates the world that predates any religion or any kind of mythology that exists to explain them.
There is a weird moment in the film though where like I don't know, I think it's Ash who like a window had been shattered or something and there's like a frame left and it almost looks like a cross.
He does put a cross.
Yeah, he does put the crosses in the graves eventually or whatever, but like he holds it up and then he's just like, no, like it's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Something. I don't know if that's what you're meaning, but
I didn't catch that.
Religious tones at all. They don't ever try to like. There's not one of them isn't like some church door or something that's like this is blah blah blah. There's no Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do quote some like language. I'm not sure if it was Latin or something, but then it just translates to "party down" at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
I really expected you to be like, actually, that's not right. I was gonna put money on it.
No, I'm not sure. I was wondering, like, is that Latin? But I don't recognize that phrase. So I need to. It might be Greek, actually. It's something that one of their teachers taught them to say, right? That translates to "party down." So yeah, there's a like we were talking about, you know, they have a sort of a lack of seriousness about them as they're encountering things like this ancient book.
Right.
They're just like, oh, let's have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean.
And so that, in a way, the demons who are also just having fun with their lives are sort of like the nightmare version of this college life joviality that these characters sort of embody. So maybe that's like the cautionary thing going on here, you know, like take life a little more seriously. But the weird thing is like the filmmakers are obviously not doing that either. Like the filmmakers are just having fun. So it's one of those films that almost like, I don't know, like it encodes this opposite moral message to the one that is like the filmmakers and the audience clearly seem to be going with. I don't know.
Well, the film itself is kind of like a fuck you to the establishment of the whole ratings and all of that, whatever for the times.
Right. Yeah. So like the like what we're talking about, like the philosophy of extremity, of going as far as you can possibly go. That also could characterize the demons in the film, right? They are creatures that go to the furthest extreme possible. Like their physical appearance and everything that they do is just like, you know, breaking all the taboos and all the boundaries. So they, in a way, could be like the mascots for the film and its philosophy, even though they're the evil part, you know, the evil entity in the film.
And yeah, I don't know any overarching sort of major themes that they were trying, like, you know, or critiques on society that they were trying to make or anything. So all of that, I mean, I don't know like how great I think it is in that sense. But, you know, I do think once you get into all the stuff outside of the film and the blood, sweat, and tears they put into it, and then all the funny random tidbits, it sort of makes it, I don't know, less of like, this isn't trying to compare itself to like Gone with the Wind or like anything like that, you know what I mean? Or even other horror films.
Yeah, like it relishes its own status as not high art. Yeah.
Right. And so I think with that in mind and all the difficulties and the budget and how amateurish they were in some ways, but also bold, like it comes out being a really sort of interesting and fun film and leads on to other, you know, films.
Which we'll be talking about in future episodes. So join us as we discuss Evil Dead 2 on our next episode of Cinematicon Ex Mortis. And thank you to Justin for guest appearing on this episode.
No problem. Anytime.